When you first heard Gerard Martin lining up as a centre-back during Barcelona's pre-season tour, it sounded like a temporary fix. A quick patch stitched together by Hansi Flick while the veteran options rested. Picture a summer tour buzzing with jet lag and training noise, crowds at warm-up games, and the faint smell of stadium food as coaches shuffle players around to see what sticks. In that background, Martin's brief run in central defence felt, at first, like a practical move to cover Inigo Martinez's fatigue. But football is a theatre where props sometimes take centre stage, and what looked like a short-term costume change started to shimmer with a different meaning once a big transfer storm blew in. What had been written off as a stopgap began to read like an audition, a deliberate test by a manager, probing whether a young academy product could shoulder responsibility where the team might need him most next season. And as the plays unfolded across those two matches, Martin didn't simply survive. He showed he could be trusted, tidy in positioning, steady under pressure, and composed enough to present himself as a plausible squad option for the campaign ahead. The crowd's murmur after his tackles and the quiet nods from the coaching staff hinted at something more than convenience. They suggested potential. But the story doesn't stop with Martin. In fact, it's only the first verse of a longer song that introduces an even more immediate beneficiary. Out of that same shifting chessboard comes the name Jofre Torrents, a la Masia prospect whose chances have suddenly brightened in a way that feels almost cinematic. According to reports in Mundo Deportivo, the unexpected twist, Martinez moving on doesn't just free up minutes in central defence for Gerard Martin. It triggers a positional ripple that opens a door for a young left-back who'd been knocking politely in the background. Imagine dominoes laid across the Camp Nou pitch, pull one tile and the rest tilt into motion. If Martin is nudged permanently toward the centre next season, the place that Martin previously contested, the understudy role to Andro Balder at left-back, becomes available. That vacancy, the sources say, is precisely the doorway flick, and the club could swing open for Torrents. It's a tidy logic. One transfer produces a vacancy at one position and an opportunity at another, and Barcelona's hierarchy seems ready to reward the player who proved himself when called upon. The air around the squad, already electric in pre-season, now carries a new scent, the sharp tang of opportunity. What makes Torrents' claim convincing are the minutes and the moments he produced on the Asia Tour. Over 3 matches, he logged more than 120 minutes and even provided an assist for the first team, a small but telling statistical footnote that suddenly reads like proof of readiness. Those minutes weren't just empty playing time. They were a compact audition tape played on real grass, in real games, under real eyes. The Catalans' management reportedly left impressed, not just by defensive solidity, but by the way Torrents offered attacking options that, in the club's view, outshine Gerard Martin's forward contributions. Picture Torrents charging down the flank, cleats biting into turf, a low cross threaded with the kind of timing that makes a striker glance up in expectation. Those are the sensory snapshots that linger. His defensive coverage too has been praised. Timely interventions, awareness to cut passing lanes, and a willingness to track back hard when the tempo shifted. All of this together paints him as a rounded prospect, one who can plug in defensively while also nudging play forward when needed. So where does this leave the tactical decision makers? For now, the most likely scenario is that Torrents will remain with the first team into next season, continuing to build chemistry and experience at a higher level than youth football. Yet the story is not sealed in stone. Barcelona's coaches and directors are famously patient, and while the club is signalling confidence through minutes and call-ups, a final verdict has been left for a moment of ritual clarity. The Joan Gamper Trophy. Flick, it's reported, will probably make his conclusive decision after that curtain raiser, a symbolic, almost ceremonial choice that allows him to see the squad under one last spotlight before the competitive season truly begins. Will Torrents step into that backup left-back role and establish himself as Alejandro Balder's nearest understudy? Will Gerard Martin cement a more frequent place in central defence? The answers will arrive in time, but for the players and the fans who sensed movement in the air, the next chapter promises a tidy mix of risk and reward, and a reminder that, in football, departures often create the most meaningful arrivals. Each paragraph above keeps the facts intact while letting you feel the scene. Pre-season humidity, managerial testing, a domino effect of positions shifting, minutes, and an assist that say more than headlines, and a decision waiting after the Joan Gamper Trophy, all pointing to a young player's fork-in-the-road moment at Barcelona. The question now is simple but deliciously tense. When the whistle blows for competitive action, who will be ready to answer the call?